I mean, you know, what's the purpose? You know, this is unnecessary stress. Some stuff you can kind of figure out why it happened. You know, there's some stuff that happens you kind of figure out why this is happening. But it's the unnecessary stuff that God has his hand in. That's the stuff that I can't figure out. The stuff I don't want to be bothered with. You know, the people that get on my nerves. You know, anybody, you know, see, y'all too saved. Y'all too saved because y'all don't want nobody to know that folks get on y'all nerve. Folks get on your nerve everywhere you go. The folks in your household get on your nerves sometimes. Your own children that you brought into this world get on your nerve. Your co-workers get on your nerve. Your church family get on your nerve. I get on some of y'all nerves. Come on, somebody tell the truth. Your pastor get on your nerve. You ain't gonna die and go to hell because I get on your nerve. Because y'all get on mine. Oh my goodness. See, y'all, I need some real folk up in here. Somebody tell the truth. Shame the devil, stay in the church. See, it's all right to tell the truth and shame the devil and stay in the church, but it ain't good to tell the truth and shame the devil and leave. You know, if you just stay in the church, we can work it out. But folks will tell the truth and then they'll leave. No, tell the truth, shame the devil, and stay in the church. You just got it off your chest. We all right? I just had to get it off my chest. You'll get on my nerve. Those are the ones God sent to help me on my journey of faith. See, I ain't never said I was perfect, never. And any pastor that do was a lie and the truth ain't in them. You got to understand that everything in your life is working for a greater glory. Those light afflictions don't compare to the greater glory. What God is trying to do is bring you to a greater glory. You're satisfied. Some of you are just satisfied with the fishes and the loaves, you know. But God's got some greater miracles in store for you. He's trying to bring you to a greater glory, a glory that your eyes have not seen, a glory that your ears have not heard, a glory that you can't even imagine that God is trying to bring you to. And this ain't going to kill you. You're going to live through it. You're going to live through it. You're going to live through it. Take my word. You're going to live through it. If you ain't going to take my word, take your neighbor's word and say, neighbor, you ain't going to die. You're going to live through it. There's going to be a greater glory for me after this. Because some of y'all going through some tough stuff right now, but you got to understand after this, there's going to be a greater glory. I might be crying and hurting right now, but there's going to be a greater glory coming after this. I might be laughed at and talked about right now, but after this, there's going to be a greater glory for me. I might be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches right now, but after this, there's going to be a greater glory coming for me. Some storms in your life, they come because you're on duty. The enemy don't mess with folks who are not on duty. The enemy don't bother folk who are not on assignment. He waits until you get on duty. All the folks that's off duty, he ain't fooling with y'all. If you say I'm off duty, he ain't fooling with you. Why? Because they ain't doing nothing. They're off duty. It's only when you're on duty. Got real quiet up in here, didn't it? It's only when it must be a lot of off-duty folks. But when you're on duty, that's when the devil messes with you. The apostles are on duty. They are following the command of the Lord. He said, get on the boat, go to the other side. Then he says, this is what I'm going to do. But don't worry about what I'm doing. You just do what I tell you to do. And that's where we fall short at some time in the house of God. When God tells us to do something, we can't concentrate on what he told us to do for trying to see what somebody else doing or what he told somebody else. What he told you to do? What he told, no, don't worry about what he told me to do. You need to complete your assignment. You know, do what you were supposed to do. And don't worry about mine. You know, I got this. You just handle yours. Don't let trouble drive you away from what God has told you to do. If God called you to do it, don't let any amount of stress, aggravation, frustration, irritation stop you from doing what God has called you to do. If you have to do it all by yourself, if you have to do it with everything you got, if you have to spend your last $10, don't let trouble drive you away from God. I need to know if I got anybody up in here today that has made up in their mind that though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Is there anybody in here who will walk by faith and not by sight? Is there anybody in here who will put their hands in the hands of the Lord and say, where he leads me, I will follow? Do I have anybody up in here like that today? Verse number 26 says, in our text, it says, and when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit, and they cried out for fear. If you don't really know Jesus, you won't recognize him, oh my goodness, when he comes. That's why some of us are falling out right now, because we're in trouble and Jesus is actually coming to your rescue, but you really don't know him because you ain't got no relationship with him, and you don't know him when he's coming, he's on his way, but you don't recognize him. They said they thought it was a ghost coming. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, you will mistake him for somebody else. Verse 28 says, and Peter answered and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me to come unto thee on the water. Peter still wasn't convinced, because Jesus said, it's me. Did y'all read? What is that? He said, it is I. But Peter said, if it be you. And that's how we do. When the Lord tell us something, we go, Lord, is that you? If God say, I need you to give in this offering, and I need you to give $100 in this offering because you got it, and you say, is that you? If it be you, Lord, let the light splash a couple of times. If it be you, Lord, let the keyboard play by itself. That's how we do. We're still not convinced that it is the voice of the Lord speaking to us. So we question him. Verse 29 says, and Jesus said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to Jesus. Jesus said, come. May I suggest that it wasn't so much of Peter walking on the water, but it was the fact that he walked on what Jesus said. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Lord. Lord. See, we take it out, you know, we get all caught up in walking on the water. Because we know that folks just don't walk on water. But we fail to remember that it wasn't so much as him walking on the water. If Jesus said, come, then you forget about what you're walking on. Oh, God, y'all ain't... Yeah. You forget about where your feet is going. Oh, Lord, have mercy. But you remember where your faith is going. It ain't so much about walking on the water. It was about walking on what Jesus said. Is there anybody in here who are willing to walk on what Jesus said? When the situation looks impossible to you. Oh my God. When the situation looks like, you know, it's something that we don't normally do. Are you willing to just walk on what Jesus said? Is there anybody in here who is willing to walk on what Jesus said when everybody around you says that you can't? Is there anybody in here who are willing to walk on what Jesus said when there is nobody in your corner? Do I have anybody in here that don't mind walking out on what Jesus said when all of your friends done turn their back on you? When mama and daddy say, baby, you don't need to do that, but you recognize the voice of the Lord, and it doesn't matter what anybody else said. You got a relationship with Jesus, and you heard his voice, and the Bible says that my sheep hear my voice, and when they hear my voice, they do what I said. And if you are Jesus' sheep, you can recognize his voice. And if he said you can do the impossible, then baby, you got to forget about the impossible and just walk out on what Jesus said. Is there anybody in here who will walk on what Jesus said when there ain't nobody around you that's telling you to go ahead, when you ain't got nobody cheering you, when you ain't got nobody pumping you, when you ain't got nobody patting you on the back, when you ain't got nobody praising you? Do I have anybody up in here that will just walk out on what God said because you recognize his voice? I came to tell somebody, if Jesus said do it, then it can be done. If Jesus said you can do it, you can take a step. Do I have anybody up in here that's bold enough to step out in the aisle and take a step for Jesus? Do I have, with my folk? Well, the rest of y'all sit down. I need my folk. If you ain't my folk, sit down. All of my folk need to stand up. Do I have anybody up in here that will get out in the aisle? And if Jesus say come, oh God, it can look impossible to you. The winds may blow, the lightning may flash, the waves may be taller than you are, but if Jesus say come, I need somebody that can believe in Jesus and just walk out on what Jesus said. If he said you're healed, walk on it, baby. Walk on it, walk on it. If he said you're delivered, I need you to walk on it, walk on it, walk on it. If he said you're saved, I need you to walk on it, walk on it, walk on it. If he said all of your needs are met, I need you to walk on it, walk on it, walk on it. If he said your children are coming back home, I need you to walk on it, walk on it, walk on it. If he said that your husband gonna be saved, I need you to walk on it, walk on it, walk. If he said that you're gonna be debt free, I need you to walk on it, walk on it, walk on it, walk on it, walk on it. I heard Mary say, I'm walking, I'm walking. I heard Mary say, I'm walking. How many people just want to walk? How many just want to walk out on what he's saying? Do I have anybody that will just take a walk?